Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, and welcome to another edition of Jason and the Gentleman, episode 47. And as always, to do this show, I need the gentleman of mixed martial arts, the gentleman Josh Hill. Josh, how are you doing as we've now flipped seasons as summer has ended and we're now into fall and Halloween and Thanksgiving around the corner?
I love fall. I love Halloween. Probably my second favorite time of the year. But yeah, man, I'm doing all right. I got infected. Some wounds here. They got infected. So I'm back on antibiotics,
Oh,
which is always fun. It seems like I'm on them more than I'm not. But
yeah, exactly. I was just gonna
with
say.
all the infections I get, man, it's fucking brutal. But other than that, I can't complain.
Well, that's good. I can kind of see that you are wearing a Blue Jay shirt. So
I am.
very, very disappointing ending to their season where they did what they had to do, but didn't get the help they needed. So,
Right.
I mean, we could always use more Yankee Red Sox games, I guess. But unfortunately, yeah, we didn't win enough games, but it was a fun ride.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I have not been following them this year, like even the last 2 years, or like I used to. Just I don't know. It's been tough, I guess. Once you have a kid, everything kind of changes, right? But yeah, I'll always be a diehard. Well, I guess not a diehard, but a Jays fan for sure.
Let's just everyone. I think everyone in Canada is pretty much a diehard fan.
Yeah.
They may not watch every game or anything like that because unless there are the true diehard fans that watch every first pitch from April till now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, they're my team, and they made it close. They made it interesting, and while it may not have been their year this year, definitely. I know that's a Toronto thing. It's next year's definitely our year. This next year, 2022, definitely feels like a Blue Jay.
Yeah, man, the amount of talent that they have and what they've assembled, and like then they have, what was it like between Vlad and Bo and who was it,
Simeon,
Springer?
yeah. Springer and Simeon. Simeon, yeah.
They have more RBIs than ever. I seen that stat. I can't remember what it was, but anyways, it looks the future looks good. Hopefully, it's another Jays 2000. What was it? 16, 15?
15, 16, yeah. They got number one. Definitely got to resign Simeon. He was on a 1-year deal, so got to bring him back, and hopefully, seeing that potential and what could be, and a whole year in Toronto, I think will be something better for them, and maybe a couple more arms in the bullpen, I guess. But as we transition through the realm of baseball and what was a wild end to their season, we go to what was a busy weekend in mixed martial arts with a lot of shows going on. Obviously, there was a UFC on Saturday, Bellator on Friday afternoon in England, which was kind of nice to see. Kind of going head to head. Yeah, I liked it too. Going head to head with a Cage Warriors show, one of their 3 shows for their final trilogy, I believe. And there was a CFFC show, but let's start with the UFC, Josh. I mean, the main event was a fight that I think we thought would be a little bit more action-packed in the light heavyweight division with Johnny Walker and Thiago Santos. I mean, probably one of the worst main events. I hate saying things like that, but all in all, for Thiago Santos, he gets a win. He wins, I guess, scores enough points to win. Yeah. And more importantly for him, the win is something that he can now, I guess, use as a renegotiating contract because he says this was his final fight under his contract.
Yeah. I was expecting more just from stylistically with the two of them, but sometimes that happens, man. Sometimes when you think that these two, stylistic matchup and should be a barn burner, it kind of cancels each other out, and it was more of a battle of just for jockeying for cage positioning, a lot of kicks from far distances, and that was the majority of the fight. But yes, it was, when they went to scorecards, I didn't know who they were going to give it to. It was very close, but not mad about it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's mad about it. I think everyone was just thinking it would be a different fight, like one of those where you kind of hyping it up. There's no way it goes to the scorecards, and then of course it always finds its way to the scorecards. But I don't know. I mean, for Santos, I think he's still trying to rebuild himself after the Jones fight from a couple years ago and having not one but 2 knee surgeries.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And because it just, I mean, knee surgeries used to be a career ender, right? But
Yeah.
nowadays, thankfully, with technology, it's not, and it just, but it's still a long recovery. You're looking 6 to 9 months, probably, maybe a year before you fight again. So yeah, it sucks. But yeah, man, I'm a fan. I was hoping he won. I thought he won that fight with John Jones. I remember watching it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I gave him 3 rounds to 2. So that's like I was kind of hoping for him a little bit, just because of that, because I think he was the champ. I think he beat the champ. So
Yeah, I mean, for him, like I said, I think it's a good win. You can renegotiate a contract. He is still kind of a player in this division that needs players.
yeah,
For Johnny Walker, on the other hand, like, this is a guy that had all the potential and all the hype of maybe he's going to definitely fight for a title down the line. And then since then, he lost to Corey Anderson, who's now in Bellator, a decision to Nikita Krylov. Like, yes, he beat Ryan Spann, but now this loss. Like, to me, honestly, when I looked at this, the size disparity and just how thick Walker is, I think this guy should move up to heavyweight.
possibly. I when I was at TriStar, he was there. I only went to TriStar for a day, but I went and trained while I was out there, and he was there. And man, yeah, he's a big dude, like 6'6" or whatever he is, and not like he's not skinny, but like he's pretty built. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, he's a big man. It just I don't know. I guess he could float into both. I guess he just gives up some. Like he'll have the height for sure because he's so tall. But will he be able to, have the strength and the power to mix it up with somebody like I don't know, the Beast,
Derek Lewis,
somebody like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, or Gone, or but I mean, he could easily put on some little bit of size and do that.
I think, like, one, obviously he's got kind of the frame for heavyweight. Two, he could just, as you said, put on some size, some nice mass. But as we've seen, the trend in heavyweight right now is to be one of those lighter in the heavyweight division, this 235 to 245 range, kind of where Gane fights at. It's no longer these gigantic, bulking, hulking heavyweights that some of them have to cut down to that 265 limit. And I just think he's just got such natural athleticism where there's not a lot of top tier athletes per se in heavyweight, where I think he could make that transition kind of seamlessly, and he may have a little bit more success. I mean, obviously this isn't the fight that he's going to probably like look back on with Santos here, and it was a new first fight for him with the SBG guys in Ireland. But I think moving up a division wouldn't be the worst thing for him, where it seems like he's kind of just running out of real estate at 205.
I don't know. He could do both. I think. At 205, like you said, it lacks contenders. So get 2 wins, and then you're right back in title contention in that division. Really, So, I'm not saying it could be a good move, but I also think he's got lots of life at light heavyweight just due to the stance of the division. And I mean, yeah, he's lost 3 to 4, but. This one could have went his way. Like it literally could have. So we wouldn't be saying this if he had got the W, which he really could have.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I just thought when I just looked at the size and how big he was against someone like Santos, who is considered a bigger light heavyweight in its own right. I just thought maybe the move to heavyweight, but I mean, maybe he's still trying to get something figured out there with the SBG guys. I mean, it was the first fight he had with John Kavanagh and those guys, and another one and a different game plan or something like that could.
Yeah, I would like to see him use his jab more, man. Like he uses like long kicks and stuff, which is good for the whole guy to do. But and Kevin seemed to have him just like kind of point fighting on the outside more so. But like a little bit more efficient with your jab, because being such a big tall guy, you have that height advantage for anybody in that division. So we got to utilize that, right? And kind of setting up the power shots with that. But yeah, we'll see how it goes with him.
We'll see how it goes with Walker, and for sure for Thiago Santos, who's now looking to get a new UFC contract and said, Dana, I want more money. But I mean, the trend that we've seen right now is they're just cutting people that have some sort of decent amount of money going towards in the UFC, as they're signing boatloads of Contender Series guys and guys off the regional side to those basic entry-level contracts in the UFC. So I don't know if he'll get it, but I think he is a name and a player for that light heavyweight division and a guy for the Brazilian market that when the world gets going again, you want to travel to put a show there, you need some top tier Brazilian talent.
I think they'll re-sign him. Because of the division. If it was full of killers and top guys just lined up to fight for the title, then maybe not. But I think due to the division and lack thereof, I think he'll get re-signed there.
Yeah, I think he for sure will get re-signed, and he gets a much important win. But that division, once again, it's one to keep your eye on, especially with a title fight in a few weeks there at UFC 267. But I mean, the biggest storyline coming out of the show from Saturday is the co-main event, Kyle Dawkius and Kevin Holland, where we really used instant replay for the first time.
Yeah.
And I mean, good to see that this MMA at least is using instant replay, whether you agree with the decision or not of it being a no contest. But yeah, there was an unintentional clash of heads where Kevin Holland literally got knocked out for like 10 seconds. Popped back up.
10 seconds. Come on, bro.
Well, okay, maybe 5 seconds. It was pretty quick.
It was literally like it was a flash. Like he went out, but he came to. I'm sure he wasn't quite all there, but it was a flash knockout more so.
Yeah, as Dan Murgulata was coming in to stop the fight, but then he, as you said, he popped back up. They kept fighting, and then eventually Holland got choked out with a rear naked choke by Dawkis. But then, as Holland was getting up from his flash knockdown, Murgulata signaled for the replay, and then we went into actually using the replay. And I honestly think it's the right decision. I mean, I can see people saying, "Oh, well, if you had time to, rack up a replay, you could have stopped, taken a break, let a doctor check out Holland or what have you." But I think it was the right decision. I think the action was happening too quickly, where you could just be like a break, especially for Dawkis went into kill mode, and you kind of don't want to stop and impede that. And he gets the rear naked choke, but I think it was the right use of replay. I definitely didn't like Sean Shelby being in there. I thought that should be a commission decision only. I didn't want him in there, but I like that we're using it. We're moving the sport forward. I think it was the right call because it can rematch the fight right now, and it was a finish that came because of the incidental headbutt.
Right. I agree. When you're in there, it should happen so fast that I think Murgulata did see that it was a clash of heads. I think that's why he called for the replay. But then, like you said, when you have somebody hurt like Daukaus did, you're going to go in for the kill, and if you stop it, and call the fight right there before he goes in for the kill, because of the head clash, it would be a no contest. But then you let it go and give the guy some time to kind of get his bearings back, but then he gets choked out in that process of being wobbled and not all there. And it's kind of like, the finish was by the headbutt, really. I think it was, I agree with it. I'm not against it. I've seen some people who are kind of against it. But I mean, it wasn't intentional, right? I guess so. That is kind of one of the arguments, that it's just like they both clashed heads, but his just was on his forehead and his was on his chin. You know what I mean? And that's what put him out. If it was intentional, then obviously, it would be a different story. So I can see the argument of people saying like, shit happened. He capitalized on it and he gets the win. But it just kind of, I don't know. It's tough, man. It's a weird position that we've never really seen much. So I'm not against it. I don't hate it. It helps the guy that got, like in Holland's case, right? Like it wasn't either of their fault, but just kind of a shitty situation. And I don't know, no contest. The biggest thing that sucks for Dawkis is he's not getting his win bonus, which again, we're going back to the bullshit of, show and win money. Now he's robbed of that, right? So that sucks.
Yeah, exactly. That's another aspect of it that does suck. But like I understand people's points of, well, if Holland had somehow survived and he made it to the second round per se, like would it be a no contest? I would have think no, but because of the action happened so fast, like it's like a bang bang play in football where you could maybe call something like a pass interference, but it just the action was too quick where you didn't have enough time or what have you. I don't know. I mean, also, this is new for MMA. Like, this is
Yeah.
really the first time we've used replay. So everyone's kind of on their own island and starting out with this. So I'm okay with it. Like, earlier that day in CFFC, they had the same kind of thing happen where they thought they could have used replay, where the co-main event, a fighter got put in a guillotine, but he didn't tap. He didn't verbally submit. The ref just stopped it because he thought he went out. And, like, that's where I think for sure use replay. Then you can restart the fight or whatever. It was like 40 seconds in. But here, I thought, you know what, use it to the best of the ability. Like, it was too quick, as we said, too quick for you to, like, well, let's stop, take a look at Kevin Holland as Dawkius is going in for the kill. I don't know. I think more importantly, the sport is advancing, at least using replay. And like every other sport's using it, I think MMA should be using it too.
Yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't if it's a tool that you could utilize. You could tell that it's all very new, the way they're all just like talking to each other. They have no idea what the hell to do. But yeah, I think overall, I'm not angry at the situation or at the what they did. I think it, due to the circumstances, I think it's the, legitimate and the right call.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like hopefully they rematch these two. I mean, that's the only logical sense here, right? We had a rematch. Kevin Holland called for November 20th. He wants that rematch.
Yeah, I don't see why not, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you, as the fighter, I guess, of this? Like, what do you feel about instant replay or for situations like this?
I'm good with it, man. Yeah, I think it's great. I think because a lot of, like you said, this sport's, it's so fast. Shit happens so fast, right? It's not like, a tennis where you can replay and look if it touched the line, and kind of take your time with it. It's like, shit, you got to make split-second decisions. And I like it how, like you mentioned, if somebody like didn't tap, you can kind of look and see if he did or did not, and then kind of determine that and start in that situation again and not kind of rob a fighter. Because what if that guy didn't tap, he gets a loss, loses half his money, and all just because the ref made a mistake. You know what I mean? So I'm all for that kind of stuff.
The other thing too is, say they call it a win for Dawkins, right? Which was the original decision. Well, Kevin Holland and his camp, they're probably more than likely to just appeal it to get the same no contest result. So let's just stop everyone wasting their time going to a courtroom, whatever it may be, and let's just use the replay for the right way. Be like, let's call it a no contest here. See you in a few weeks, and we'll fight again. Like, I'm down with it there. I know a lot of people thought it was maybe the wrong situation. No, I mean, Nevada had the same kind of use where they could have used replay last year in that Ed Herman, Mike Rodriguez fight where they said Rodriguez had like low blowed Herman, and it showed a clear shot to the midsection, and then Herman got a finish like a minute or two after they restarted the fight. That is where they should have used replay, and they totally blew the call there.
Old Eddie and his tricks, eh? An old vet right there. Yeah, but I mean, for sure, because it wasn't a low blow, and he sold it, and then he got the win off it, right? That's shitty for the other guy. Like, I laugh, but it sucks for the other guy. I would hate to be in that position, where you probably would have finished the fight because you dropped him. And it wasn't a low blow, but they called it that, and he got the time to recover. And then he comes back and wins. So that's like the ultimate fuck you, And
now that fighter, Mike Rodriguez, is cut from the UFC because he lost another fight after that.
See, that's what I mean. That these things have repercussions, and that win might have, gave him so much more confidence that his next fight he would have looked even better, and then he wouldn't have his back up against the wall, and then he would have fought better, and now he wouldn't have cut. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things. It's like a ripple effect, butterfly effect. That these things kind of have long-term repercussions. So in instances like that, for sure, I think they're needed.
Yeah, I think more importantly, it's just the sport evolving. Like, we've seen Kansas use open scoring. Now Colorado is open to using open scoring in MMA. And I know people have their thoughts on open scoring, that it's maybe not the best, but it's better than what we're doing right now.
Like we say, like, you should have the judge should, hold up red, blue, like in between each round and say who he's got. And then, I mean, and it also has some accountability for the judges, right? Of who they are, and you can see their face, because you never see these guys. Nobody knows what they look like. And they are a lot of the time the ones that screw over fighters because they have no idea what they're doing, right? So, put some accountability on them.
Well, and I mean, if you, the fighter, if you're in a close fight, especially a championship fight, you'd
Yeah.
like to know what the score is
Down,
going
yeah.
into. If I'm down, if I'm up.
Every other sport, look at, like, we go into the third period in a hockey game and we're down 2-1. Like, we know where we're at. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta do everything. We gotta, we had 2 minutes left and we're down by a goal. We gotta pull the goalie. It's the same thing with this. Like, if I'm down, I got 3 minutes left in the fight. I gotta just go all out because I know I'm gonna lose. So it's I think it's needed 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Corey Sandhagen today said he would have definitely liked to know if he had open scoring in that Dillashaw fight. Like, he would have loved it. It would have changed some of his attempt to finish the fight, considering he would have known he was losing on some scorecards, and he's going in for the kill more. I know some people say if you're up in like say it's a championship fight, you're up 4 rounds, you're just going to coast. But I think you can't really coast if you're the challenger there. You're going to force the action and make the champion or whoever's up on the scorecards, he's going to have to fight. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Everybody, it says that older just coast. But if the other guy knows he's down, he ain't going to coast. You know what I mean? He's bringing it on. So I think that's bullshit. And even still, like, in fights where you dominate for 2 rounds, or do you just go in the third round and coast as well? No. I mean, you're going to try and continue that dominance and try to finish it. So I don't buy that. Open scoring, 100%. I'm game for that.
Yeah, I'm game for the open score, and I'm game for the use of replay here. Like, we won't see it every show or anything like, but when needed, let's use it like how we used it here with Kevin Holland and Kyle Dawkius.
5 judges too, not 3, 5.
Yeah, I'm down for that. The more judges, the better. The more people we can have eyes on this or something around that. I mean, we've talked about that many times, but the sport at least seems to kind of be catching up and evolving. I know it's still a young sport, and this being replay and whatever and some open scoring is new. But
how long are we going to call it a young sport, right? We always say that. Like, it's just young. It's in its infancy. It's just, what I mean? I say it too, but really, it's been around now for a bit. You know what I mean? People know what the hell it is. We're on mainstream television, so it's like, it's there. So, like, act like it.
Well, yes. If only everyone could just start acting like it was a big kind of deal sport. But I mean, that was really the biggest talking point of the UFC show from this past Saturday. There were some other good performances, like Alexander Hernandez finally had a big finish against Mike Breeden, guy coming off the Contender Series who lost to Anthony Romero, but obviously, I guess, being the American, got easy access to coming in there. But for Hernandez, this was a guy I always felt got maybe a little bit too quick and kind of broke his confidence after the Cerrone loss. But he seems to now, a couple years removed from that, be really putting it together.
Yeah, for sure. So the guy that he beat was the guy Romero beat?
Yeah, Mike Breeden.
Ain't that a kick in the nuts, to Romero? Just like, you beat the hell out of this guy for, 3 rounds, and just, he's a tough son of a bitch, but like, neither you got a contract, obviously, but now this guy, I mean, I'm sure he probably got a win outside before that, right?
Oh, man, Mike Breeden. Let's find out if Mike Breeden actually.
I would assume so. There's no way they're going to bring him in off a loss of a contender.
Yeah, he had a couple. He had a win this May in his home promotion, that James Krause's promotion, the FAC.
Right. Okay. And check out. Are you looking at it right now?
Yes, I am.
Who's the opponent, and what's the opponent's record?
Nick Compton, who is now 12-8 going to it, is now 12-9.
Yeah, I mean, more so of a journeyman. Right.
Who is pretty much transitioned to boxing up before that fight.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't blame the guy. He just come off there. He wants to get a win, and it worked for him. Now he's in there, right? So I don't blame him. I think it's a smart move. But yeah, it just kind of sucks for a guy like Romero to see that, right? And now Romero's coming off a split loss to another tough guy that could have went his way too, right? So it just that's the game, man. You know what I mean?
And now that guy's fighting for a title in that promotion, Fury Fighting, in November, in front of Dana White. So
there you go again. So it keeps going.
It's a total butterfly effect negatively for Romero there.
Yeah, man, and then that's, I mean, it's just kind of how it goes, and kind of how it goes sometimes. But it just, it's shitty to see that.
It definitely was unfortunate for Romero, but like I said, it's good for Hernandez to get the and to get to stay on the card as well, because he did lose his opponent Leonardo Santos as well. I mean, we also had the debut at middleweight for Misha Serkinov. And I don't know what you think of his performance, Josh.
It was close. You know, I caught it. Like I came in, actually that fight was on when I got home, and it was about, I don't know, it was in the second round about halfway through. So I only got to see the second half of the fight. It was close. You know, Misha did get the takedowns, a few of them, but he wasn't able to do anything with it. And that Jocko was able to kind of just get back to his feet. You know, I think it was more so like Misha should have let go a little bit more, because I don't think Jocko had any real plans of putting Misha down on the ground, right? So when you have somebody like that, you know, let your hands go a bit more and, you know, kind of plant your feet a bit more, just because you know that, you know, this person does want to strike more so. But it was a pretty close fight. But from what I watched, yeah, I thought Jocko edged him.
I thought Jocko edged him too, but I guess the question is, I mean, this was the debut at him at middleweight. I thought, I mean, good for Misha. He made the cut, made it easy, it seems like. But you think he should just move back to 205? Because it looked like as the fight continued, he looked maybe a little drained. I saw some people say, "Oh, he should totally." He looked terrible at 185. I didn't think he looked terrible. But
no, I don't think so either. And I don't think I've seen him. I remember Misha fought on one of the cards I was on or I was at locally, and he was like exhausted, buddy. Like in the third round, he couldn't even, and he ended up losing the fight actually. And it wasn't due to lack of skill; it was just cardio wise. So I think that's something he's always had issues with, and I think now he's adjusted and you know, a lot better. I think he looked good at the 85. I would not say that it was a bad move. I think he looked ripped, in good shape. Took some good shots too. And you know, was he a bit tired at the end? Sure, but I think so was Jocko, right? So it's I wouldn't say it was a failed. I think it was a close fight. I wouldn't say it was a failed, you know, a botchery of going down a weight class. So no.
No, considering it was a split as well, so a judge did give the fight, that fight to Serkinov. So right. I think, yeah, give it another try there at middleweight. Yeah. And that was pretty much the show. I mean, they have another show this upcoming weekend, an early start time with Mackenzie Dern getting her first main event in the UFC.
Yeah, they're pumping out like a lot of shows now lately. Yeah, Jesus, every week.
Every week, pretty much, we're doing a show every weekend up until the end of the year now.
Wow.
With like 3 weeks off before their first show of 2022 on January 15th.
2022. That sounds. It
like sounds far away, but we're really not that far.
No, that sounds futuristic. You know, I mean, it doesn't sound like we're there. You know, it's like I still think it's 2004. You know, 2022, dude. That sounds like, you know, movies that they talked about, like how they're, you know, in space by that time, flying cars, crazy.
Yeah, I watched on the internet. I found a trailer of like an Emilio Estevez movie from like, he's a race car driver. I guess he dies, but it's like he goes to the year 2009, which was so futuristic in 1992, and I was like, man, I can't remember the name of it, but like Mick Jagger's in it.
Really?
Yes.
Emilio. I love Emilio.
Who doesn't love Emilio? The Mighty Duck Man.
Gordon Bombay.
Yeah, it's a legendary.
I tipped his hat like this.
Exactly.
No, that's right.
That's from Night at the Roxbury.
There you go.
Free Jack. That is the name of the movie.
Free Jack? Okay. Yeah. Is it good? Yeah. Or is it
I just saw a trailer of it on okay. But I mean, I'll check it out. I mean, I think Emilio and Anthony Hopkins carried it, definitely. I can't trust Mick Jagger being a good actor.
Oh, Anthony Hopkins in it? Oh, okay. I'm surprised I haven't seen or heard this. This is
1992 sci-fi action.
92. Wow. It's the year before the Ducks.
Yeah. The year before the Mighty Duck Man became
93. Yeah.
You could be right. I can't remember I don't know. I'm still too weirded me out. Like, how did Trinidad and Tobago get a team in this competition?
Hey, bro, they got in there, man.
How did they get enough space on there with a steel drum band and have enough room for the players? I still don't know. But
they needed somebody just to get, get 14 goals against,
Yeah. Yeah. They needed that team to kick around. Like, I guess we got China and Germany in the Olympics for this year.
Yeah.
In our group.
Same thing.
As we transition from UFC, Josh, to Bellator.
Making bobsled team, bro. Just like Cool Runnings, man.
A true story that Disney totally made it seem 10 times more inspirational than it was.
Oh yeah, amazing.
That's one of John Candy's best movies.
Oh, classic, buddy. Classic. John doesn't have any bad movies either.
Up there with what? Uncle Buck?
Uncle Buck, Summer Rental, Great Outdoors. Classic.
Yeah, legendary performances by Mr. Candy in his time. But as we transition here to Bellator, Josh, as we did talk about last week, this was really a one-fight card. And, MVP comes out, amazing entrance, amazing atmosphere. So shout out to the British fan base.
Right. I was just when I watched them, like, I want to fight there. You know what I mean? Like, I want on that card. That's why I'm like, get me on one of these European ones, man, because that's how it should be. You know what I mean? Like I love the walkout, the setup, the lights, all that shit was awesome, and the crowd, man, was pumping.
Oh, the crowd was pumping there in London for Bellator, and then on the Cage Warriors show that was like going on at the same time for their main event, which was for their interim featherweight championship. Paul Hughes, who's Irish, took on Morgan Charrier, who's like this top star and biggest draw in France right now. And like it was just dueling fans across the aisle, the French versus the Irish in England. It was like a soccer game, but an MMA fight was going to happen. It was one of the coolest atmospheres ever. So I can see why Bellator has been marketing that audience for a while and why that fan base is so great. They just make everything 10 times more exciting.
Yeah, 100% they do. I mean, European fans they're much better than North American fans, I think, man, to be honest. I mean, the only thing that compares is like North American fans when they watch football.
Yeah, well, yeah,
that's
true. But I mean, this main event, Josh. First of all, it was a very competitive back and forth fight.
Yeah.
MVP, did enough on the judges' scorecards to get a win over Douglas Lima. I know some people say it was a robbery. I don't think it was a robbery at all. Look, it's a close fight. Not every fight can be a robbery. There's been some robberies this year. Kakamaka was a part of a massive robbery and then eventually ended up leading him to get cut by the UFC.
He signed with Bellator.
He did. Yeah, I was just going to say, good for him signing with Bellator. I think that's a great get for Bellator. But this wasn't a robbery. This wasn't a robbery in England at all. And, I mean, MVP gets the win. And then I guess they're like, well, are you going to fight for the title now at welterweight? He's like, no, I just want to run it back with Lima. So, because he doesn't want to be a champion in Bellator because he doesn't want the championship clause. I guess he really wants to test some free agency. And, I mean, what do you think about that, Josh? I mean, I understand the name of the game in this sport is really to get some championships on there, but you also want to make some money, and maybe he sees options outside of Bellator right now.
So I will address all that, but first the fight.
Yes,
I watched it in its entirety. It wasn't as. I wish it was a 5-rounder. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, what is Bellator? We got to get these main events 5 rounds. I'm sorry.
I know they still do the old ways of only championship fights, right? But like, yeah, if that was a 5-rounder, I think it would have, it just could have led to so many more things that didn't happen earlier on, right? So, watching the fight, it was very close. I thought Lima did enough to win it. I kind of had him going, but I knew him like it's going to be MVP in England, man. There's no way that fight that close. There's no way they're not going to give it to him. So I kind of predicted that, but it was very close. Like you said, it wasn't like a total robbery. Like I've seen way worse calls than that. But I did have Lima winning it. As far as the afterwards, I don't blame him. I mean, yeah, championships are great, and if you're a champion, you'll have more money for sure, absolutely, and more, stardom and more opportunities and things like that. But having another, if you get a win over Lima in a trilogy, and now you're a free agent, and a great record and 2 wins over one of the best in the world at 170, you can maybe leverage your way into something bigger, right? So I get it. And also this 175 or 170 pound champ Amosov is a terrible matchup for him.
Yeah.
So that also might be a reason why.
Well, I think MVP is one of those guys that's kind of smart with who he gets to fight or whatever, because that's been the knock on him. He's really not fought ever since the first Lima. Before the first Lima fight, he never fought anyone. Then he fought Lima, lost. It was like, see, look, he can't fight. He's just a can crusher per se.
He's beat some pretty good guys. Like, I mean, overall, he hasn't fought top level competition continuously, but he has beat a couple decent guys, like the guy that he fought on my card when I was on it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Derek Anderson. Yeah, Derek Anderson.
Yeah,
that he smashed his nose in half.
Right, like that guy's a solid fight. That was no like give me can, you know what I mean? So. He smashed his nose in bad. That was nasty. But yeah, I think he's very skilled. MVP. He's so awkward, hard to deal with, and what he does it well. But it's it's still the knock that he's not beating top competition all the time. And then the Lima fight was super super close, so maybe he wants to run that back and really solidify that.
Yeah, maybe so. I think
they won't do it in England though.
No, you definitely gotta. They'll be back in the States for sure.
Yeah,
they'll be somewhere in the States, Mohegan or wherever Bellator will find their way. But I mean, for Bellator though, for a guy that you've been putting a lot of time and effort and marketing to him to pretty much just say, yeah, I don't really want to be a champion in your promotion. I kind of take that as a slap in the face, and Bellator I think may have to look at themselves in some ways and how do we get people that are here to stay, because we need stars. We can't have everyone just leave after we build them up, right? So I think Bellator needs to find a way to get MVP to make him happy in some way, pay him a little more or whatever it may be, because they need some names out there. They can't just be McKee and that's about it, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen like they're building their stars. They're signing tons of guys. Like look at Amosov. Like you probably never heard of him really until he came around and then had a couple wins and then beat Lima for the title. Now he's a champ.
But is Amosov a star though?
No, I mean he's the champ. Is he a star? Champion. No, not yet. But with a couple title defenses, and if they market him properly and kind of build that, then yes, he could be. It just I guess like I said this before. I love what Bellator's doing. I think they have great shows and whatnot, but the one knock I have on them is their lack of hype and production. You know what I mean? To get, they're kind of missing that, I think. And I think if they just adjusted that, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, they need someone there to just do something to put some sizzle on the steak that is Bellator. Because Bellator has some solid fighters, some guys that have been in the UFC, but guys that they've now created their own. We've talked about before. They're scouring. They're signing some top regional guys. Whether winning championships in a CFFC and LFA, or promotions like that. But every time you're like, oh, look at like some of these cards, you're just like, I'll watch it because it's on, and you don't want to just be that promotion. You want to watch a fight card because, I want to see this guy and see where he goes after it. And Bellator has never done that, and I just feel. They either go, they have the guys, they make it, or they build around chaos or old veterans in the past, and they're trying to find that stride right now, but they still haven't found. They don't know how. They can make great fights, but they can't get people to watch them. Is pretty much, I guess.
Right. So that comes the the production, the marketing, and the build up for these guys, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where I think they should do more like personal type things. Like an embedded type thing is a great idea. I think that would be very beneficial. Something like that for was more so behind the scenes, and you get to see all that. Be it on their social media, like keying in on your fighters and like building them up and showing them, obviously fight stuff, but also outside of the fight realm and their personalities and whatnot. Things like that. I know I'm not a marketing expert, so there's a lot of people that have way better ideas than me that could really help that. But again, like I said, I love the direction they're headed as far as, they're signing lots of talent. They build a lot of homegrown talent. That's great. And they put on amazing shows. Like the production level is like great for that. But it's just the build up for these type of things. I think that's the last key ingredient I think they need. And that would be the difference maker.
They should have someone at Bellator call like a Tony Khan or something in AEW. Because like that promotion, has literally just shook up all of pro wrestling. Like, how can we do what you're doing in our field? Like,
it's true,
that's
man.
all they're missing.
Very, very, yeah. You know, look at WWE would be like the UFC, and now look at AEW. You know, and Bellator could be that. You know what I mean? And I think as far as like promotion goes, I think they are that next big one, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, they need some. They just like to, like you said, throw some gasoline on the fire, you know, and just kind of make it go and shake shit up.
Yeah, they need to just do something. I don't understand how every time it's like they'll have a big card, but then there's like a month full of cards that are just like they're nice, they have good fighters. I want to see it, but like, if I wasn't invested in MMA like I am, would I pay attention to it? Probably not.
Yeah, you're gonna get the ones that love MMA like yourself that watch it all the shows, right? And myself, but like, you're not gonna get the average Joe that just goes at the bar on Saturdays and watches the UFC because there's beers there and there's wings there, and you know they put it on. So you're not gonna get that guy, and unfortunately, the majority of people are that guy. You know what I mean? So you got to appease to that audience as well. So that's like I said. They got to just do that, man. Just do that, and I think this shit would just pop.
Yeah, they pretty much. I think what they need to do is take some risks. Like right now, just do something. Take a risk or whatever. You have at least a better network with Showtime.
Yeah.
Do something. I mean, Showtime Championship Boxing does enough, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like they're just shooting jumpers, but they're going off the rim and going out, right? So not hitting swooshes or anything like that. But I mean, they do have a show in a week's time or 2 weeks time from Phoenix with the continuation of their light heavyweight Grand Prix. So I mean, it went Benson Henderson, Brent Primus, but like I said, that's a great fight. But 9 out of 10 people really won't care about it.
Yeah, it's like, where is it? I haven't seen any like. Put it in my face, you know, make it out there, you know, constantly push it. You know, I want to see, you know, the hype up for it. Put a video out there of the two guys, you know, and like, I want that, you know, I mean, I want more of it so I can actually, you know, and be like, oh shit, those guys are fighting tonight. Yeah, I want to watch that. You know, that's what we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Bellator seems to have found that rhythm in the UK and they just can't right now.
It's weird how that, because in the UK, like, they love it out there, you know what I mean? And they're big. So it's like, what are we missing here in the North
America? Invested so much, right? They not only have shows out there, but they had like exclusive European only shows out there. Yeah. And like, I understand you can't maybe do that as a Bellator or anything like that here in North America, but I don't know. You got to find a way to find the stride you found across the pond in North America.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
for sure. But I mean, that was Bellator, and then we said 2 weeks time they move on to Bellator 268. We transition here towards the end of the show, Josh, I was seeing today that I don't know if you watch much bare knuckle boxing. But there was a fighter that fought for BKFC this past August, Justin Thornton, who got knocked out in like 19 seconds, and unfortunately today he passed away from his injuries in that. And obviously a terrible story. I mean, terrible for right now BKFC, who is actually building momentum and getting sanctioned in some states across the U.S. And more importantly, they got a show coming up in New York. So this can't be good for anything like that. But when you looked at this fight that was made at BKFC 20 back in the month of August, it was Justin Thornton, who, you know, he was coming into this with an 0-1 record in boxing, but his MMA record was 6-18. And his opponent was 11-1 in MMA, and was going into that would become 3-0 in BKFC. How on earth does a commission sanction something like this?
What commission was it?
It was the Mississippi Commission. I mean, doesn't surprise a lot of people, bro, what this commission does. But I mean, this commission has to be really held accountable. Like, you can't just be letting people out there for the sake of whatever. I don't know what they did or how but like, they see the matchmaking. Like here in Ontario, you could never do anything like that. And they're just like, sure, whatever, we'll have it. We got to have these fights.
Yeah. So there has to be a happy balance there. Cause like you talk about Ontario, it's like over the top, you know what I mean? Like strict. I mean, it's gotten better here, but it's still very like, oh, that guy hasn't had this. Like, nope, they're not fighting, you know what I mean? Or not enough fight. but there it's like, yeah, when you gotta just look at it, look at it on paper, right? Anybody in the world is gonna be like, okay, this is a setup fight. This is a that you're bringing in just to highlight reel it. You know what I mean? And I get that in the earlier days of MMA. I mean, it still happens now, but you get guys they're kind of building their records and fighting lower level competition up until they get signed to a bigger promotion. But yeah, to have a guy what was his MMA record? 6-18.
6-18.
Damn, dude, that's like, it's not even like he was a journeyman. That's like 12-12. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not good. And then I also seen that he was coming off of how many straight losses and knockouts as well.
Well, he hadn't won an MMA fight since October of 2016, but he had lost, well, as we said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MMA fights in a row. Most of them were by submission, but there was a 9-second KO loss in that stretch.
I guess it comes down. I mean, it's horrible no matter what. But I guess it comes down to what their medical requirements were. You know what I mean? Did he pass them all? Did he have any underlying issues beforehand going in? Did he have, a brain issues like aneurysms or anything like that going into it? So I guess that would be the key question. And how strict are their medicals before fights? Probably not much. It's probably like if you had an MRI in the last 3 years and blood work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bet you that's what it is. Like and it's probably the blood work's probably like the last 6 months, which is crazy too. So yeah, they would have to overhaul that and because I mean I get trying to build up guys and fight a little bit lower level guys to in the early but this guy's 11-1, man. It's like, I guess he's switching over to boxing, right? So it's kind of different, but yeah, you don't want anybody dying, man. That's the absolute last thing you want, and it's fucking sad.
It's just this commission, like they have
Was he in a coma all this time, or like what happened?
We still don't know, though. I did stumble upon his Facebook, and I guess the woman that was taking care of him said, I guess he got paralyzed or somehow had, I guess, like a small stroke as well, and like pretty much it was just a vegetable, and I guess succumbed to the injuries of it.
After he had a stroke and whatnot.
It has to have been from the point in time from August to now here at the beginning of October. I mean, this literally was just found out this morning, but I mean, it's still on. I mean, I know people want to be like, oh, where's BKFC statement? Because I mean, they're very quiet right now. And I wouldn't, if I were them, I wouldn't be quiet at all. I would definitely come out with some sort of a statement right now. But I mean, this Mississippi commission, not only do you have this on you, but on the past weekend with the Jorge Masvidal's second MMA show, they had Crazy Horse Bennett in there. And really? He's on a 17-fight losing streak and got plastered in like 19 seconds. How are you letting someone with a losing streak that bad just compete? I understand it's Crazy Horse, he's a name, whatever, but this commission is just literally just like, whatever, who cares? And that's what don't want to. That commission's there to protect you guys, the fighters.
Bro, Crazy Horse has lost 17 in a row.
I think make it 18.
Oh my God. I mean, I know that he was still like fighting, but I didn't think it was that bad, dude. Yeah, man. There should be like a thing where it's like, if you lose like 10 in a row, it's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something like that. Like it's over. It just, I don't know. I mean, obviously Mississippi's the Wild West. It's like whatever happens. It doesn't really matter. So that shit like this, that comes from it, negative things like this might make them have to step up their game as far as, listen, I'm all about like letting fighters fight, but there has to be something there to like protect them somewhat. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what the commission should be there for, to protect the fighter from themselves, because you're going to end up with a situation like Justin Thornton where they're going to take one punch too many. And that's kind of been also the story this year is we clown on Jake Paul or whatever, but fighting's serious as anything. Like one event, one show, and you could never come back from that.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, shit. I don't think people. It's because, you know what? I think it's like 90% of people never been hit. You know what I mean? So they don't really know like how, and especially hit by a trained athlete. You know what I mean? So until you feel that, then you don't really, you know, understand the damage it can cause. And that's the risk we take every time we go in there. But it's, yeah, I see like Ontario Commission was not so much anymore. It's like I said, with new people running it, it's gotten better. But before it was like they forced you to get like so many CTs every year and whatnot. And I remember getting into it. I'm like, listen, I don't want to do a CT every year in my head. Like that's the radiation from that alone is it's horrible. You're causing me more damage in the long term than me getting punched in the head, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then obviously Mississippi, it's like whatever. So there has to be a balance there, a happy median, right? Where you're still looking out for the fighter, but you're not overdoing it that you're actually hindering them as well.
Yeah, and I understand like why they've had shows in Mississippi and whatever. I mean, it's one of those states that's been kind of open for business during the pandemic, and people want to have shows and fighters want to have fights to get paid. But obviously, this is one of the situations where safety comes first. That commission needs a complete overhaul and serious looking at by whoever it may be that needs to look into this, because you got a death that's kind of your fault.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's unfortunate. Like I said, we don't know the whole details of what happened afterwards or whatnot, but like regardless, it's a sad story.
Yeah, I mean, anytime someone dies pretty much because they were fighting, I mean, that's tragic. Everyone that dies kind of that, young in their life that Justin was, whether, he may not seem that way, but it's still young and, wasn't supposed to go right now. He had at least another, 30 years left to, spend time with his family and whatnot.
He's only 38, bro. So I think he's supposed to have more than 30.
Well, yeah, exactly. But he's supposed to.
30 more years, be dead at 60. You know what I mean?
He's supposed to live for, until he's like 90. So another 60 years, whatever it may be.
Whatever, yeah.
But more importantly, this commission in Mississippi, not only that, but then you have Crazy Horse Bennett just getting smoked and knocked out in record time or whatever it may be from this past week. I mean,
that's just like that. I mean, yeah, that shouldn't happen. But like, that's just like, obviously that guy has no support system. You know what I mean? He doesn't have people around him telling him what's more beneficial. I get it, and it's probably fighting is all he does, all he knows, right? I'm assuming. I don't know the guy, but yeah, if you're continuing to do this at his age, he's older now. He's got to be
41. Yeah. Or he's gonna be 42 in a couple months.
Yeah, so 42 years old on an 18 fight losing streak, and now getting knocked out. I mean, out of all those 18, like, has he got like put out pretty bad?
Yes, he got choked out, decision, choked out. I mean, even getting choked out, that's not good for your brain either.
Well, any fighting is not good for your brain, but like when you're taking many shots, like yeah, I mean. Guy's going to be a vegetable by the time he's 60, you know what I mean, or earlier. So yeah, his thing is his lack of smart people around him to tell him. But again, it's like he's probably like, no, I'm fighting. Give me my quick paycheck.
Yeah, that was bare knuckle MMA. So that now brings Crazy Horse Bennett's record to 30-41-2 as a professional mixed martial artist.
30-41-2, man. Wow, that's over 70 fights. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, when you see a record like that and stuff that goes on, I mean, you've obviously, with all going to schools, we talked about last week with your, studying sports psychology, like you've got at least an exit plan, or always thought, I need an exit plan because I can't put my body through fighting forever.
Yeah, I mean, you hope so. You try to. It is tough, though, for sure, because to be the best in the world in this sport requires 100% commitment to it, right? So it's hard to build something else while you're doing this as like a after plan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can have an idea and whatnot, but it is hard. It is very, very hard. Unless you're one of those people that like already had a job, you found MMA and you were able to make it work with your job and then kind of go back to it afterwards, that kind of story. But ideally, yeah, if you can have a plan afterwards, then yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah, that's why.
Especially in our sport, because I mean, a lot of these guys, retire with millions, and 98% of the fighters aren't doing that. You know what I mean? So,
No.
yeah, it is good to have a backup plan, or you're going to see a lot of people just grabbing odd jobs after, for working at Walmart, things like that.
I think that's pretty much what ends up happening in MMA. It's either you're working, one year you're fighting on, a bigger card of the year, and the next year you're, at Costco or something like that. So
it's pretty sad that we have to, to make it to that level and the best in the world in that class, and then not have any type of retirement plan or anything like that, So when I look at the other sports, like they're set after, you know what I mean? So
it just goes back to one of those things where you guys got to unionize, where you can have some money.
I don't see it happening in my career time. That's for sure.
I don't see it happening in your career time or a lot of people's career time, because that's going to screw the promoters over, who they're all about the money. So, but yeah, honestly, it's a sad situation. Anytime someone dies, and if you're BKFC, you definitely got to be concerned, because you're branching out, you're expanding quickly, you're getting in new states, but it's like the 90s MMA all over again, of the fear of what could happen. But this time they actually have a statistic that a senator or whatever could use against them.
Yeah, and I'm sure MMA had that as well. There has been deaths in MMA, but yeah, it's a risky spot, So you gotta maybe they'll think next time of a little bit harder when putting somebody like that, like obviously a killer, like 11-1. They're building them up to, and then fighting a guy that's 6-18. Man, it's like, you got to look out for the guys a bit more.
But they got to work with the commissions even more so about better testing, better medical checks, more CAT scans, whatever it may be, because as you said, fighting
CAT scans though, not too much radiation.
Well, less in the sense, but better than whatever's potentially zero that Mississippi was doing.
Yeah, you can't go in there with something wrong with your brain.
Yeah, exactly. But just work with the commissions, make sure everyone's safe. So if you do see guys taking the big knockout or whatever, you can obviously they can go home happy. But if you see guys that have taken too many, you can just pull them from preventing disaster happening.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what they're for. That's what look at my buddy Vinny Murdoch. That it was due to the pre-fight medical testing that they found his disease. He had the Mula Mara, whatever the hell it's called. I can't remember. Some weird thing. But anyways, they found it, and he could have died from that shit if they didn't. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, a sad ending to our show this week, but I thought, an important story, and that one that relates to any realm of combat sports. As we had a death in
any sport at all.
Yeah, any sport at all. But we had a death in women's boxing in Montreal not too long ago as well. So
I heard about that too. Yeah, I know that we take the risk to get in there and fight because we're fighting each other, literally, you're getting as close to death without going to death, hopefully. But yeah, it's sad, man. It's not good.
It's definitely sad. Well, as we wind this down, we can make it on a happy note. As we talked about before we closed out last week, we said there were some Canadians that had some action going on. Obviously, things didn't go Aaron Jeffries' way,
right?
But Siri Seedy, and I know Aaron will be back. He fought a tough guy in that fight, and I thought it was a close fight, though one judge did score 30-27 against him, which I didn't agree with. But Siri Seedy, a guy we propped up and called his fights before, both amateur and in the pro scene, finally won his first pro title with a quick first round triangle choke submission to become the BFL bantamweight champion.
Yeah, man. I've known Siri since he was 16, training with us, and he went through I always say he went through the ringer. We beat the shit out of him. And stuck around, and now he's one of the top guys in the country. You know what I mean? And the skill set to back it up. When I sparred with him before, it was like you said, we beat him up as a young kid, but now he's giving it back, man, and he's a tough round. So I always predicted big things for him, because he has the skill set, but he also has the right mindset. He's very, 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 very good with that. So it was going into the fight, the guy was, a power puncher. He swings for the fences. Ended up taking Suri down, which was kind of unexpected. And then, Suri showed off some good submission skills. So, yeah, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I'm very happy for Siri. And to your point on the mental side, just, we saw him a couple weeks ago at the BTC show, and just seems like his mindset since the loss to Mateo back at the BTC show has changed for like even more. Like he took MMA serious, but he's taking it 10 times more serious, trying to get 10 times better. His ground game's obviously gotten a lot better and learned from that Mateo fight, and got a quick submission against a guy that, as you said, in a Gio Platon that's a power puncher, and didn't, I think, have enough experience to fight someone that's fought at the level Siri's fought at for the past few years.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. And Siri's a smart kid, and I remember after his loss, I said, you know what, you'll be fine. This is good. This is good for you. I know it sucks, but it'll be better for you. And it's proven that it is, right? So again, I expect big things for him, and I think you'll see him make some big waves by the end of 2022.
Yeah, I too as well. I know they wanted him to go back. Go back out there.
Well, you got the vid, bro. You got
the vid. No, I do not got the vid. I definitely do not tickle in my throat. But they do want him to go back out there and defend that title now against the guy he was originally supposed to fight for the vacant belt back in June. So that's good to see, and it's good to see that they're making him a big deal out there in BFL. Making the treks out from Ontario to BC can't be the easiest on the body for all that travel, but nonetheless, big win for him. Kyle Machado had a big win against late minute replacement once again. Lee Mean, talking about a veteran of MMA, and I think Machado needs another win. Honestly, I feel for him as a heavyweight, and we talked about many times that there's not many big sharks or anything like that. But I think the fight to make is he's got to go to Alberta and take on Chris Larson again and try to take his belt. If he wins that, I think he's got to find a way to either get to the UFC or get clearance from BFL to fight in the States.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we always say there's nobody here, so he has to fight somebody from elsewhere or something, because there's no more heavyweight down here.
And then keeping it on the Canadian trend just for this week, Josh, Mike Mallet fighting in the main event, apparently. I shouldn't say the main. Apparently, he is, I guess, the main event against this week in the Contender Series against the Israeli in Shimon Samaritsky. So good for Mike.
Awesome. Yeah, man. I've known Mike for a long time, and even when he actually kind of stepped away from, he wasn't going to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Just became a coach, and then I asked him, like, what is it? He's just like, I had to, I had to, being around it so much, he just had the urge, you know what I mean, that you can't get away. And he's got, the guy's very, very talented, very, very good, very skilled. And sometimes when you step back and coach, it kind of it helps you because you see things that you kind of skipped over, you know what I mean? You got to kind of break things down into detail a bit, and you can kind of tweak things and make things better by doing that. So I think by doing that coaching wise, I think it helped him as a fighter. So I think you'll see, again, big things from Mike and fighting at 170 too. And he's a big boy now. He's not like who he used to be, fighting that, cutting down at 45 and killing himself.
Yeah, I mean, Mike as well. He's got a win against a guy in Solomon Renfro, who's going to be fighting on week 8 of the Contender Series back out in CFFC last year. So, and when you look at the guys Mike's fought, like a Solomon Renfro, he's fighting for a UFC contract. Craig Shitani fighting lost his last fight in the BFL, but one of the top guys in Canada. And then before that, his last loss to Amin Hakeem Dawodu. So I mean, he's fought the top of the top around when he steps in there. So happy to see him get this opportunity. Yeah,
for sure. And obviously, I think he's going to win. So that's awesome.
Me too. Me too as well. Well, Josh, we'll wind things down and get to everyone back to their families and enjoy, because first of all, we won't have a show next week because of Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving here. But I mean, I know everyone was freaking out because Facebook and WhatsApp and all that was down. I mean, it didn't bother me at all, but nonetheless, shows how much important we all live on these platforms. And
keep it down forever. I'm all for it.
Well, I can see that point, but I do like it to market the show. I do like.
I agree. That's my one thing to kind of keep it is being able to market myself, the show, my business at my gym. You know what I mean? So that is, I think, my real only want for it to stick around. Other than that, I could, if everything shut down, that'd be great.
I mean, the one thing, if we lost Instagram forever, Josh, how would I know it was a great meme if you weren't able to share?
I just have to send them to you directly.
Mail, literally, like a bunch of them mailed. But well, Josh, we'll wind things down here. Have yourself and your family a very happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back in 2 weeks and breaking down all the happenings of the crazy world that is mixed martial arts. So for the gentleman Josh Hill, I'm Jason Hagholm. Peace out, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.